So one of the questions that I get asked the most is, Jedisola, how are you able to achieve all of the things you're able to achieve? How are you able to specifically save, and achieve your savings goals? And in this video, I'm going to be sharing the things that I do, and hopefully it's going to help you too. So let's get right into this video. So the first advice that I usually give to people is that you have to be able to identify what you're saving for. Like, I remember when I started saving for my first investment property, it was named house number one, even in the app that I was saving it for. I did set a goal against how much I wanted to save. But just knowing that I was saving towards something was some sort of like a motivator for me to continue to save. And I think it's something that helps a lot when you're able to define what you're saving for. Now, if you don't know what you're saving for, what usually would help is that at least you have a savings goal amount in mind. So your goal could be that you want to save £10,000 by the end of 2025, £20,000 by the end of 2025. You might not primarily know exactly what you want to use it for, but I think that being able to either define exactly what you want to use the money for, or also having a target amount in mind is something that really, really helps. But if I'm being totally honest, like the main secret sauce for being able to, save, for me is recognizing that when I have these goals that I want to achieve, it can't be business as usual. And I think that is where a lot of people get it wrong, where they think that it can take some lackadaisical approach to achieving their goal. Like, you have to lock in. It's just for a short period of time, but a lot of us are not able to do that. Like, you still want to eat your cake and have it. If you want to achieve some of your goals aggressively, the way that I have been trying to achieve some of my goals really aggressively, it can't be business as usual. You have to lock in. You might have to lock in for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. Like, the gain in locking in for that period, like, you can't put money on it, which is something that has really, really helped me. Just recognizing that, yes, for this period of time, if I'm going to be able to achieve this, like, I can't spend money anyhow. I wouldn't enjoy some of the finer things of life. I may not be able to travel. I may not be able to, do some things like go out for drinks or buy new clothes or buy a new car or whatever. I will not be able to do some of those things. You need to recognize that you have to sacrifice. Because really and truly, how can you truly save? It's either you're cutting back or you're making more. And I can tell you, those two things require discipline. They require a different, you to be able to achieve that. If you've been used to spending money in a particular way and you now have to start cutting back and start managing, it's not easy. So you have to do something differently. If you want to earn more, right? Even if you're trying to, look for another job, it's not very easy. It can't be business as usual if you're trying to look for another job. If you're trying to do a side hustle and be very serious about it, it cannot be business as usual. So recognizing that, you want to have a goal and you are open enough to lock in, you need to know that it's a short period of time. It might look long, right? If you want to achieve something in a year, like, you may want to have to lock in for a year. 12 months might look like a long time, but I can also tell you that it will go by like this, right? I remember when I was thinking about moving, out of Nigeria, and before you know it now, like, I've been here in the UK for, almost 4 years now. Time goes by really quickly. And that time you're locking in, that time you're practicing delayed gratification. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but it's something that has to be done if you want to do some things really aggressively. If you're just, doing it like, you just want to do it on the side, then that's fine. You can eat your cake and have it. However, if you want to skip certain steps, it can be business as usual. I'm sorry. I wish there was another way that I could tell you, but this is like the secret sauce for me. Like when I focus on something, like I'm locked in. Nothing can drag me away from that. Another thing that, helps a lot is direct debit. That is going to be your best friend if you're trying to save and achieve a goal. I think for some of us, we treat our savings as something that is, not mandatory, right? So if I'm able to save, fine. If I'm not able to save, then the way you have to treat your savings is you have to treat your savings like a bill that you have to pay. Your council tax, your gas and electricity bill. Think of your savings that way. It's like a mental shift. When you treat your savings that way, that money isn't yours. The same way you're setting money aside for your rent on a monthly basis or your mortgage, is the same way you have to be thinking about your savings, right? That it's not something that you can decide whether or not you want to do, but it's something that you absolutely have to do. So for me, like when salary comes in, rent goes out. Well, now I'm paying mortgage. I set money aside for my mortgage, my bills, and then my savings is next. Now, whatever is left after I have taken care of all of these compulsory bills, including my savings, is what I will now budget to spend, right? So I'm not doing it the other way around, that I'm thinking about the amount that I want to spend first, because obviously I know that there's some mandatory things that needs to be paid, and therefore I've included my savings as part of that. In my last video, I did mention, for example, that I want to do a bit more of stocks and shares investment this year. I've set up a direct debit on my account that on a monthly basis, a certain amount goes out of my account into the brokerage account to buy more shares, right? You have to be very disciplined and treat your savings like a bill. Another thing that I do is that whatever money I set aside for me to spend on a monthly basis, if I still have a bit of it left at the end of the month, I don't treat it like it's still money that I want to spend. I move it and add it to my savings, right? It sort of like helps to build discipline. Yes, it's money that I know that I can still spend, but when I'm locked in, I see that money as extra money that I can put towards my savings so that I can also shorten the time required for me to achieve this savings goal. Another thing that I see that a lot of people struggle with when they're saving is that they're also not planning for upcoming expenses. Now, you have your normal recurring expenses on a monthly basis. However, there's some things that is coming in a few months, right? That I would say you have to plan for it, because if you don't plan for it, it means that whatever savings you set aside for a goal, for another goal, you're going to end up using it for this thing that you did not plan for. I'll give you an example. When I was going to apply for my indefinite leave to remain, I knew that it was going to cost about £3,385 for the indefinite leave to remain. I knew when I was going to apply for it. Therefore, I knew when I needed to pay that money. And I'm not waiting up until that time to start figuring out where is that money going to come out from. So in as much as I have a goal that I'm saving for, I'm also anticipating what are the things that are coming in a few months, right? That I need to set money aside for. So in the months leading up to this event happening, I've already started planning towards it. So instead of incurring, the cost for my ILR, which is £3,385 all at once in 1 month, I already started putting aside, say, £500 towards it months leading up to me applying for that, and that helps a lot. So if you're thinking about traveling, let's say there's summer holiday coming up and you want to travel, there's 30 December coming up, you're not waiting till that time to now take money out of maybe money you're saving for your investments or anything else to now start funding some of these things. So even like trips that I'm planning this year, I've already started thinking, when will I start saving for it and all of that. So I'm not overwhelmed when those things come, and I'm not also dipping my hands into whatever savings that I'm setting aside for other goals of mine. So it's all about balance, right? So when I have nothing else planned ahead apart from maybe my savings goal, I have like maybe a fixed amount that I set aside for myself to spend on a monthly basis. When I have other things that I'm anticipating, I know that I will need to cut back, in those months so that I'm able to save more towards this, expense that I actually know that is going to hit me in a few months. The last thing that I try to do is, wherever I'm saving my money, I try to make sure that it's not sitting in an account that doesn't give me any interest. Now, it doesn't matter how small it is, it has to be an interest-bearing account, first off. But if you're able to find a high interest yielding account, then that's even much better. For example, now I'm using a bit more of my brokerage account to also do some of my savings. So Trading 212 is a brokerage account I use, for example, to buy my stocks and shares. But they also operate like a normal financial institution where they're able to take and hold your savings. Last year, for example, they had interest rate on just your savings to be 5.1. I think this year it's come down to, I think, 4.9%. So, but in all, their interest rate on savings is still relatively high. So that's one of the places that I try to put my money. So my money is constantly working for me. All of these things I said, they're not like new rules or things that you probably don't know. But ultimately, you can only save in proportion to what you earn. And for some of us, we may have to do a bit of extra work to earn a bit of money on the side in order to be able to increase our savings. Some people need to maybe upskill themselves in order to be able to, maybe put themselves in a position where they can command a higher income. Some people might have to, do a bit more risky investments to earn a bit more money. I wouldn't advise that. But ultimately, like I said, you can only save in proportion to what you're earning. However, building that discipline to save is the foundation to how anyone is able to grow financially, because you need capital to invest. It doesn't matter how much you start with, you can always start from where you are. But recognize that if you're trying to achieve your savings goal, it can't be business as usual. It's going to take a lot of discipline. It's going to require a bit more from you. Anyways, I've come to the end of this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.